Alright, everybody. I am so used to hearing that now with vocals that hearing it without, or I'm so used to hearing it without vocals that when I hear it now with vocals, it sounds wrong. Alright, so welcome to part 3. We only have one Fog Warrior album to go over, and then I thought I would go over the Palace Aeronautonomus release from E-Trig that came out at the same time, and then also I'm gonna play the intro to Infernoland, the Evil Trimegistus album, 23 track Evil Trimegistus album I'm working on. This morning I was working on the track Nothingness, which originally was just going to be an acoustic guitar by itself, but now it's got a giant orchestra around it. And I almost spent money on buying woodwinds for my recording setup, but I didn't, because that's a lot of money. So, where we're going to go today, we will be looking at the last Fog Warrior. Get the mouse on there. There we go. This one right here, Ruined. So, if you watched any of the previous streams that I did, I put this on YouTube once the stream's over. I said that this album Ruined started off as one track. When I originally wrote it, it was a 46-minute long track. And how long is it? Does it have a total? It was a little over 46 minutes long. But when you record a track, like when I was recording Ambi 3 for my Happy Music on my other Bandcamp, that one I had to upload an 8-bit depth instead of 16 bits, because it was 35 minutes long or something like that. And when you get an MP3 or you have to upload it as a WAV file, not an MP3 file. And a WAV file that's 35 minutes long is getting very close to the 600 megabyte limit per track. So this one was 46 minutes, and I knew it was never going to be able to be uploaded into Bandcamp. So I figured, well, I better just break it up into parts. And so luckily I did break it up into parts, and you can see most of them are like 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. And then you got the 10-minute, 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 and that's where most of the vocals are. I think there's clean vocals in this somewhere, and I apologize ahead of time. The album cover is AI generated. I just put in fog, ruins and fog, and I had to go through like 20 iterations before I finally got something that I thought I could use, and so I got this one. And it's funny that the tree that it generated looks a lot like the logo. So this was originally a track called Tears of Blood, and the lyrics were about when me and my soon-to-be ex-wife, I just call her Sunny. I hate using that term ex-wife. When me and Sunny broke up the first time, I could not sleep very well, and I kept having nightmares upon. I just saw the word upon instead of upon. I kept having nightmares of uh, seeing her cry when I left, which that'll never leave me. And then I'll talk about this more in my podcast when I start my podcast, which I'm going to do soon, and then I may have to take a break because we're going to have visitors to the house, and I don't know if I can do the podcast while I have visitors because I don't know how loud I am. And she brings a dog, and that dog makes the other dog go off, and then it's nonstop dogs. So you're not going to, you won't be able to hear me. It'll just be dogs barking all day. So this one was written after I had a dream where I think I was living at my grandmother's house in Birdland, of all places. It was called Birdland because all the streets are named after birds. Um, she lived on Ren between Robin and Canary. So I was there, and I walked around the corner in the middle of the street, and oh no, wait, that's Goodbye to Hell. That's a whole different track. Um, this one was, I think, after I had a dream that I drove past Sonny's parents' house, and Carrie Matthew, who would have been 4 when we broke up the first time, was in the front yard, and I just drove by, and he ran to the edge of the yard and yelled at me, "Don't go," very loudly. And then I woke up, and I was just screwed up for the rest of the day. So anytime I had a dream like that, I was messed up all day, and I would usually write song lyrics, and that's where this is. So On this one, we'll just run through it. The first two are instrumentals. I have not listened to this since I did it. I don't remember if the how the vocals are. I don't remember. I like I said, I think there's clean vocals, and so I apologize now. And if you didn't watch the other two, I hate my vocals. So I try to do the coroner thing where I try to bury my vocals to where you can hear it. You can maybe make out what it says, but it's buried under everything. So, and then once we do this, we'll do the E-Trig single, Palace Aaron as a Nomus, which has Sing for the Dead, which didn't come out the way I originally wanted it, but it came out okay. And then I'm going to do the world premiere of the intro to Infernal Land. That's just missing my speaking part at the end. So, and I'll go over more of that stuff. You'll actually get to see my recording software. I think I've done a stream with that before. It's just Studio One version 6.6. So let's just start with this instrumental. I'll be back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds if I can find my mute button. What's cool going back and doing this is that after I've recorded something, I usually won't listen to it once it's done because I've listened to it a million times while I was recording it. Like before this was chopped up, it was 46 minutes. So if I changed something, then I had to listen to 46 minutes of this track again to see if it fit. And then when I realized I couldn't upload a 46-minute track, then I started figuring out how I was going to chop it. And then I had to start listening to the 46 minutes again to find where I was going to chop it. And yeah, so I forgot that intro sounded like that. So this part, I believe, is acoustic guitar. It's either clean guitar or acoustic guitar. Clean electric or acoustic. I think it's clean electric because I didn't have a way to record acoustic. I have my cousin I live with, Gorelord's got a classical acoustic with nylon strings, but it has a pickup, which is awesome. So I can use that for Infernoland because at least two of the tracks have acoustic, and I only play classical acoustic. I don't like steel string. I'm not a country music player, so. And I was thinking while this was going on, the reason I didn't call the album Tears of Blood because the lyrics were originally written as Tears of Blood is because I went on Encyclopedia Metallium and there's about 100 million songs called Tears of Blood. There's a bunch called Ruined also, but I'm not worried about that. So we're gonna go now to track two. This is another instrumental. I think this one's got the guitar in it, and then when three comes in, three is kind of mid paced, I think. Oh no, wait, I think it starts slow and then goes mid paced. So this one it should be. I think it's clean guitars. I don't think there's any well, there's no vocals obviously because it doesn't have any lyrics. But I'll see you in 3 minutes. So that ended kind of abruptly because the part that comes in when it was the 46-minute track, that ended with the China hitting once, and then it hits twice again, and then the mid-paced part starts, which is the next track. But I was going to do something real quick. Let me do this. Oh, crap. Okay, well, I was going to look and see. Um, I was going to look and see what those chords were because I forgot what those chords were, but they are so dissonant. I love that sound. I don't remember how the vocal pattern goes. This is 10 minutes. While this is loading, I'm going to find my list and then see what those chords were for the last one. So I'm probably not going to be going along with this unless I find all the stuff and have it ready, and then I'll go along with this. But like I said, if there's any clean vocals, which I don't think there is, I apologize. So here we go, part 3. Okay, so whoop, my cord is on the microphone. All right, so watching this, I apologize, clearing my throat. Watching this really bugs me because this was written in the 90s when I had lost Sunny the first time, I think. And then I lost her a second time in the 90s. And then now, after being married to her for 3 years, and now we're not together, we've been apart almost as long as we were married. This fits now. It's freaking hilarious in a totally horrible way. Anyway, so I did find what I was looking for. So this entire 46-minute track, when I originally wrote it, I'm going to show you the GP5 program. I'm going to show you the notes. This is the entire 46 minutes was based on this. So you can see here's the E add 9, C7th major add 11th. The part I was looking for are these chords here: the G7 sustained fourth, the G sustained second add 13th, the G7 sustained fourth, the E7 sustained fourth. Oh my God, the E sustained fourth add ninth diminished, and the E minor add 11th, and then the E7th add 11th. That's what those chords are that you're hearing. That's why they're so dissonant. They're not, because here you got like a G7th, a C, an A7th, an A sustained fourth. But these are all sustains, add, diminished. I think that's augmented. E add ninth augmented with an A. So this was my notes, and then I took what I had here, and when I would come up with something, I would throw it down here, like this progression with these notes. I would throw them down here, and then I would figure out how to work them into the track. So this is what it looks like, and I think, let me look. It's a C augmented fifth scale. C. Oop, that's augmented. I need an augmented fifth. There we go. C augmented fifth. Thank you. So every spot on here that you see where it's red, I don't know how well it comes out on the stream, but this is your guitar neck. This is your the guitar nut, and then your pickups would be down here. Tuning pegs would be over here. This, and it's, you're looking down at it. So this is the low end string. This is the E string on the bottom, and it goes E A D G B E. Everywhere that's red is where there's a note. And so when I come up with something, like I think when I started writing this, I was playing these two little setups. The E add ninth, I think that's E add ninth augmented A, and the C seventh major add 11. I was playing these two chords, and then after that, I put them down to figure out what they were, and then I would come over here and I would hit. I didn't mean to hit that. It's augmented fifth. I would hit the scale finder and just do the first bar, and it would tell me what fit, and then I would just grab one, and then I would just go off of that. So I view that as cheating because when I wrote a lot of stuff for E-Trig, I did not do that. Where was I at? There it was. I just actually wrote stuff. I just wrote stuff on the guitar, and if it sounded good, then that's what I used. So close that. Yes. Save this. Oh my God. So like I said, that program you saw is the GP5 program. Yes, I want to overwrite it. That was, I bought that. I think I was looking for tablature to learn how to play Amorphous, playing, I think, Exile the Sons of Urislu. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Urislu. I wanted to learn how to play that because there was a guitar part at the end that just went dun 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 dun. So I could figure that part out by just listening to the tape, and then when it came, or the CD, and when that part came around, I would start playing chords on the guitar until I found something that matched it. And that's how I learned to play Celtic Frost. That's how I learned to play Misfits and stuff like that. So, all right, that was track 3. We're moving on to track 4. Oh, short. This may have clean lyrics. If it does, I apologize. It's only 3 minutes, so I will be back in 3 minutes. So if you stream this and you start at part one and just let it play all the way through, these songs fade into each other. I had to actually, on my recording software, I had to actually cut parts and pick up the entire saved part I had and move it over to make it where they're separated. Because a lot of this, like when, what was it, two and three went into each other? Oh no, three and four went into each other. It stopped with a hit on the China once, and then the other one starts with three hits on the China. Those were in the 46-minute track. That was one China hit that still was ringing out, and then the other three kicked up while the guitar was still playing, fading in the background, and then it went into that part. But since I had to chop it up to make it fit on Bandcamp, I had to pick up everything and move it over without moving that guitar over that was ringing out. Because if you just highlight everything and pick it up and move it, it's going to move that guitar ringing out because it goes into the other part and it'll move that over with it. So I had to, I don't know if you've ever used Studio One Pro, but it is insanely awesome. I had to shorten the audio of the guitar ringing out, pick up everything, move it over, and then extend that audio back out again. So, and this one, when you got the double bass going, the China that you hear in the background, the cymbal, it's called a China. It's that and the guitar line don't fit on a 4/4 count. They're just over the fourth beat. So instead of going 1 2 3 4 China, or 1 2 3 China, 1 2 3 China, it goes 1 2 3 4 China, 1 2 3 4 China. It's I recorded it that way because that's how it was in my head, and it adds to the song, making you feel like something's not right, because the whole meaning when I wrote these lyrics was that I did something horrible, and I want people when they listen to this to feel uncomfortable, because that's how that's what the whole situation made me feel. So, like writing something in a 9/8 time or a 7/8 time, where you, instead of going in 7/8, instead of going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and where you go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you don't get that last eighth, and it makes people go, what, hey, what? Or you go one too many on a nine, and you go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and people are like, what, you're stuttering, what? So also, listening to this, I realized I would have to go through a couple drummers if I ever perform this live, because part three is 10 minutes of solid double bass and a medium pace. I think this one coming up, part five, is 10 minutes of faster double bass. So, if I remember correctly, I may not be right. I was just thinking, how many drummers would I have that would burst into flames if I ever performed this live? So, this one has got very little lyrics, so this might be the clean vocals. I'm really hoping I'm forgetting, I'm not remembering properly, and there's no clean vocals, but knowing my stupid brain, there's probably clean vocals in this. So I will be back in 10 minutes with this one that has almost no lyrics. So that's another spot there where I had to, as that guitar was ringing out, the next track started when it was a full song. So I had to pick up everything and move it over and shorten that guitar ringing out. And then once I moved everything over, then extend it back out. It's not as difficult as it sounds. You'll see when I show you the Infernal Land intro. So another thing I noticed is I thought this was the fast part. So part 7 is the fast part. But you can hear if you're one of the people who's a glutton for punishment and you've seen the other two streams on stream number 2 when I did Whilst Rooted in Obscurity, the track Magnet, the 17-minute long track at the end of that called Magnet. You can hear the soprano fluty voices that I used on that is also used on this album. I love the sound of that. And actually, I have different soprano voices on the Infernal Land intro that are actual people but sampled. Um, so we're going to go to this instrumental now. This one's only 2.5 minutes long. I think this is building into the fast part, but don't quote me. I don't want to see my name in the paper. Okay, so now I know what I'm doing. That is not building up to a fast part. I got this one confused with the last one, The Darkened Shadow, because that one, the first half of the song is mid-paced, the second half of the song is fast-paced, and that's a 20-minute song. This one stays pretty much the same constantly all the way through. So where that one ended and you heard the violin at the end go up and then stop, originally when it was 46 minutes long, it didn't stop. It kept going and then you go into the next track. So I'm guessing the next one starts with the violin playing very loud on top. And this one I think has lyrics. Crap. Okay, we almost made it. So maybe this has the clean vocals. Hopefully not. This is the last 10-minute stretch, and then we have an outro afterwards. So I will be back in 10 minutes. Whoops, I hit the button one too many times there. So I really hate me some me, I can tell you that. So this is the last one. It's just an instrumental. It's only 2 minutes 20 seconds long. I think it's just a reprise of the intro. And like I said, this was 46 minutes long when I first did it. So well, I'll be back in less than 2.5 minutes. Way to screw with myself and add just one extra hit at the end there, Jonathan. Way to go. So that's the last Fog Warrior album that I've put out so far. Actually, I released all three of these, Strength and Sadness, Ruined, and then the EP Dark and Shadow on the same day as Palinir and as Anomus, November 13th, I believe. I don't have anything for Fog Warrior right now in the works. For E-Trig, I've got the Infernal Land 23 track album that I'm working on. We'll hear some of it here in a minute. Darkchild Stormbringer, that's my ode to Mortis. That's kind of weird because I have to be in the right mode to write that. So that's kind of, it's just keyboards. There's no vocals, nothing. It's not like Skinny Puppy or Depeche Mode or keyboards. It's just keyboard, just weird sounds, I guess you could say. Um, Ligor is, that's what I play guitar, bass, and I write the lyrics. And then my nephew Dosrith, who lives next door, does drums, vocals, and keyboards. He's working on a track right now. I sent him. I have to record a bass line for a different part I sent him, but he's got 3 or 4 tracks that I've sent him that he's working on. Grave will never, or Psalm Tomb will never have anything else because that was my first attempt at writing epic black metal music, and then I just didn't care who did the vocals. I had a bunch of extra tracks. I think they're on my Jonathan Evil Facebook page on the videos, but ones that weren't finished. But now, since I lost all my stuff off the hard drive, I don't have them anymore. Or if I do, they're not labeled anymore. And so it's going to take me a long time to go through 2 terabytes worth of stuff. I think it's 2 terabytes worth of stuff that was on that hard drive that crashed, and have to figure out what everything is and rename it and put it back where it goes. So that'll be in the works someday. I'm a Mutam CAG. Don't listen to this album ever. This is the worst part of my life is when I wrote this. And it's not recorded well. I tried to get um, I tried to get this added to the Encyclopedia Metalium because I did not add Evil Trismegistus to Encyclopedia Metalium. Go away. Everybody does it. Um, I have not. I forgot what I was saying now. I was. Oh, I did not put Evil Trismegistus in Encyclopedia Metalium. Somebody else put Evil Trismegistus in Encyclopedia Metalium, which is baffling to me because nobody's ever bought anything. I didn't know anybody even knew I existed. Apart from the ads I put out in 1994, 95 in underground zines around the world, and then just having a Facebook page, I didn't know anybody even knew that I existed. So, um, but I did try to get Umamutem Kag at it, and the the message I got back was that is not metal. And when I wrote it, it was shoegaze, blackened shoegaze, I guess you could call it. It's not good. Do I have lyrics on here? Yeah. So the only lyrics on this: how can I explain in words you can understand? I cannot prove you exist outside of my mind. How could I how could I explain in words you could understand? How could I exist? Occluded to Silence is about a guy who in World War II went to Australia and strangled a bunch of women because he wanted to take their voices because he thought they were so beautiful. Everyone Leaves is an instrumental track. Lost Reality Anchor is where if how can I explain this? Ugh. So with my looniness that I have, it's twofold. It's the social anxiety where I don't want to be around people. Right now, I'm in my room. It's what time is it? It is almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm in my room with the curtains closed and it's dark. And I'm not suffering, so don't think I'm suffering, frickin' people. I'm perfectly fine. I am comfortable. But I also have a really bad anxiety of being forgotten. And so when I was with Sunny, we always had parties at our house because Sunny is the aunt that does the best everything. She is just awesome sauce. I can never say enough about how awesome that woman is. And I would be in our room in front of the computer, and then I would go out and I'd walk around and I'd see everybody. I knew everybody. I was fine with everybody. But I would go out and I would hang out with people, and then I'd start getting uncomfortable, and I'd go back into the room and just sit down in front of the computer and just do what I was doing. And then after a little bit, be like, well, I have to go back out there because everybody's at our house, and then go out and just mingle with the people and come back into the room afterwards. And I always thought it was funny because her dad would do the same thing. He would come over and hang out for a little bit, and then he would just go back home and just leave her mom and everybody else there to drive home. Um, so Lost Reality Anchor, I've always had this feeling of I can't be alone because then I will be forgotten. So, and it's not just being forgotten; it's being growing older and needing help and being forgotten. And I've never really lived on my own in my life because I've never had a good enough job. I make no money. The reason I put stuff on Bandcamp, apart from when I was with Sonny and I was making good money. Hey, that rhymed. Um, I don't make very good money, so I don't live on my own because who can afford that shit? So I lost reality anchor. A reality anchor is somebody who is there with me, who understands me and keeps me grounded. Because if I didn't have somebody around me that kept me grounded, I would get so lost in this in like E-Trig that people wouldn't see me anymore. I would get lost in all the imagery and the occult stuff that it's all about and whatnot, and I would just go deeper and deeper down that rabbit hole, I guess you can say, and then nobody would ever see me again because I wouldn't want to be around people. So Lost Reality Anchor I wrote when I was at a very bad. This whole album was written at a very bad time in my life, and Lost Reality Anchor was a song about me not having my reality anchor and how I would completely lose it, and I wouldn't be anchored to reality where all you normal people are. I would be off in Jonathan Broken Brain land. So, emptied is about really wanting to have sex with somebody and then having sex with somebody, and then after you're done thinking that was really not worth it. The chorus on that is, or the last verse is something like, and so now it's over, conquered. I don't feel like I thought I would. I feel hollow. All I feel is hollow. Yeah. So, Speechless Farewell, that was one that I may do again someday in a better way. Because when I was doing this, I didn't have a very good recording setup. So, this whole album sounds horrible. If you're wanting to hear horrible stuff from the early 90s, when did I record this? 2011, 2013. Um, I didn't have, I think I was still using my, wait, did I have Studio One then? Or was I still using Pro Tracks? I don't remember which one. I don't remember when I got Studio One. This was recorded the Monsters House. I think I had Studio One then. I'm not sure. Speechless Farewell though was written one of. Okay, long story. When I was younger, I come from a family with a mom and a dad and an older sister, younger brother. Mom and dad had three sets of friends when I was little. We had the neighbors, Barb and Pat. They had a daughter named Lori, that I semi had a crush on because she was the neighbor's daughter. And then they had another daughter, Michelle, that was my brother's age. And then there was Mark and Erica Montgomery, and Brandon was my age, and he was one of my best friends. And then there was Jim and Sue Garvin, who Jim they had a son. Well, Montgomery's had Chris, and then Brandon, and then Missy, and then EJ, and then Jim and Sue had Sean and Cassie. Sean was my brother's age. Cassie was younger. Sean, when he got into high school, started playing bass and growing his hair long, and he was one of the cool kids. And he hung out with my brother, uh, but not at school because my brother. Well, my brother did go to high school, so we'll go into that in the podcast. Um, Sean though had some issues, and he married a very pretty lady, and he. Well, I had not talked to him in a long time because I never really hung out with him. He was younger than me, but I didn't have anything against that. I was doing my own thing, running around in bands that were going nowhere, and he was making his living. And he one day just went out into the garage and ended everything. And it really still bugs me now I think about it. So when I was told, I found out, I think on social media, one of wow, I can't remember if it was social media or if it was my brother, but I found out and I couldn't believe it. And so Speechless Farewell is the song I wrote because it I was literally speechless just now. I was literally speechless. It left me speechless. And so Speechless Farewell was the song I wrote to him. And I remember asking Fleshtone Smurf, I asked her, "Hey, I want you to listen to this and I want you to give me your honest opinion. If it sucks, then tell me it sucks because I wrote this for Sean and I don't want to put out something that sounds horrible for Sean. If you think it's horrible because her husband was a bass player. Is he a bass player? I can't remember. He's a musician too. And tell me if you think it sucks. Tell me it sucks, and I will not release it." And she wrote back and she goes, "I think it's perfectly fine." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So it has pipe organ in it, but it's not. It's a cheap MIDI pipe organ, and like I said, I did not have a good recording setup when this came out. So that nobody's ever bought this does not surprise me. And then the horrors are what I used to get when I was younger. People call it sleep paralysis. I would have this one. nightmare over and over and over. And when I would wake up, I couldn't wake myself up. Well, that nightmare, when I would wake up, I would not be able to sleep in wherever I was sleeping. So if I was in my bed and I had this one nightmare, which I'll go over in the podcast, I would not be able to, when I woke up, when I would go back to sleep, I could not sleep in that bed. I'd have to sleep on the floor or in the hallway because I could not sleep in that bed again. When I got older and I was a manager for Walmart, I started getting what I call the horrors, which are, how can I explain it? So I would be asleep, but I would not be completely asleep. I would be falling asleep and still awake enough to know that I'm falling asleep. And then all of a sudden I would get this sound, and I can only describe it as like a power hum, I guess, that would just slowly build up, just and get louder and louder. And when it would do that, for some reason, as soon as that would start, my whole body would tense, and the thought would be instantly put in my head that if I don't open my eyes and stop this as soon as possible, I'm going to die. And no matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried with every muscle in my body, I could not move, I could not open my eyes. And I called that the horrors, and I would get that a lot. I haven't had it happen to me in maybe 10 years, but when I was working at Walmart and I was salaried member of management working upwards of 64 hours in 4 days, I would get that so often. That's when I started having Walmart was where I started getting the really bad palpitations. It's where I found out and was diagnosed with my anxiety disorder. Um, while I'm fidgeting with my hands now talking about it. So anyway, let's move on. Like I said, nobody ever listened to that. So Pallas Aaron Asinomus. This is his track for that I wrote. So the music for this, does it say on here? Let me see. Nope. Okay, so the music for this I wrote, I don't know when. It was like within the last 5 years. I sat down one day and I had my GP5 program up. I don't have it up anymore. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna write something today. I'm just gonna whatever comes to my mind, I'll write it. And I wrote this track. It's 5 minutes long. It's short. It's Evil Trismegistus. So this is the band that has been my life forever. That I've only released. I released a nameless demo in '97. No, that was Blacker. Blacker Than a Burnt Pope is what it was called, but then I changed it to Blacker because Blacker Than a Burnt Pope is so stupid sounding. Um, that was released in '97 to absolutely no one. I sent it to a couple zines and then nothing ever came of it. 98, I released a rehearsal demo that was supposed to have 3 tracks, but I only had 2 tracks because I forgot about the third one. And then 99, I released another rehearsal demo that had 2 tracks. And it was only supposed to have 2 tracks. All 3 of those album or demos were recorded with a Tascam Porta Studio 3 2 input to 4-track cassette recorder. I'm looking to see if I have a picture of it. Actually, I think I might. I'm going to do something. I'm going to put you back onto the main screen. Boink. There you go. I'm going to look here and see if I have this on my page. Oops, I think I might have spelled that wrong. Nope, I spelled it right. My complex passwords. So I want to go to. You guys can't see it right now, but I am on my Facebook. I want to go to my pictures. Let me see my pictures. There we go. Photos and then recording. Oh, go to albums. Go to old recording setup. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put you on. I don't want to show that. Where is the picture? It's not in there. Okay, well, guys, want to see what I looked like back in 1998 when I was. Oh, I did have a name for that demo. It was called Awakening. Let's go back to here. So this is what I looked like in 1998, super skinny Jonathan. So here is my, God, that picture's tiny. That's my 3-inch ring binder of song lyrics for Evil Trismegistus. I don't know what that is on there. That's the dining room table at my grandmother's house. This is the living room I used to sleep in. There's my Korg 707 performance synthesizer. There's my book of lyrics. There's my brother's little $200 Yamaha keyboard. Down here, that is a ghetto blaster, I think. God, these pictures are small. So I could run more. I could run more than 4 tracks because I could run a track to another track. There's the Kramer 8-string bass. That is me, skinny me. That's when I worked at Walmart. I was like 170 pounds. That guitar is my Mako Ultra, my Mako Ultra Shark LS. I bought it at a pawn shop. Stripped it, painted it silver. I don't see the Tascam. I thought I had a picture of the Tascam on here. There's the mess on the floor. That is the smaller lyrics book. So that's Zebra's project. I don't know why that's on the floor. There's my practice amp on a chair. There's the video chair. There's my Tom Anderson 6120 orange drop top guitar in the background. There's the bass that I don't have anymore because it was stolen. Do I have a picture of me with the bass? Yeah. So that's the, or is that the Washburn? That might be the Washburn. Do I have a picture of the 6120 orange? Yep, there we go. I think on this, is it this one? Yeah. So that's the 6120 orange drop top Tom Anderson guitar. It was $2,400. I bought it from a lady for 150, and then she never asked for money after that. So I paid 150 for it. It's sitting 2 feet behind me right now. This is my grandmother's living room where I was living. She was in Arkansas. That's why I'm recording, because when I did vocals then, I was literally screaming. So I'm here snuggling with girlfriend. I called that guitar girlfriend. In the background, that right there, that black thing, that is my great grandfather's violin mounted in a picture frame on the wall. All right, that's enough of that business. I don't think I have. Yeah, because I don't see the Tascam Portis do. I'm going to put you back in chatting. All right, let me look and see on my other house, my other albums, albumums. I had one, I think, that said equipment over the years. That's cover photos. CD artwork. Oh, there's my equipment over the years. It's just the drum set. Son of a gun. Well, here's what my drum set looks like. This is what it looked like when I bought it. So that's me sitting behind it in 2000. And I can tell you, I have pictures where. So it was a 15-piece drum set with 22 cymbals. I was planning on never moving it. I was going to be a sessions drummer. We saw how well that worked out. My nephew ended up borrowing it when he did As Death Comes Calling. He took the entire drum set. Well, he took it later when it actually had the I don't have a picture of it. There was actually a picture of it. I got a half a rack. I took a picture on the other side over there by the octobans underneath because it was just it was a forest of stands because you had the hi-hat stand, you had the trash cymbal, you had one of the Tasco Sabian Tasco Chinas, then you had one of the crashes, a splash, another trash, a splash, another crash, a splash, a crash, upside down. That's upside down. That should be. Wait, where is the ice bell? What the heck is that over there? I don't even remember what I had on my drum set. So here's my Ed Shaughnessy signature ride. This is another. That's the other Tosco China. No, wait, that's the Wuhan China. That's the other Tosco China. So one of these was a 16-inch Way Funky, and one of these was a 18-inch Shimmering Tosco China. This is a Wuhan 12-inch China. That's a 6-inch splash. There's an 8-inch splash and a 10-inch splash. Where is on the other side over there? We saw those. It's a closer picture. I don't see it. On the other side, there is a cymbal tree with I think it's a 6-inch chime, an 8-inch chime, and a 10-inch chime. Or it might even be smaller than that. The small chime was barely bigger than the nut holding it on. There it is. So there's the 10, the 6, and then that's got to be a 4. 4, 6, 8, I think. See, there's the upside. So to save on stands, I got extenders and other extenders, and then I would flip the splashes upside down on top of the crashes. So, God, look how dusty it is. So that's a Sabian. That would have been like the 17-inch crash. That is a old cymbal. That's a trash. That would be the Sabian. That's the Salsa 12-inch Way Funky Splash. That's the 19-inch Dark Crash. That's the 10-inch Splash or the 8-inch. Wait, what's that? That's the 6. That's the 8. That's the 10-inch Splash. That's another old cymbal, I believe. That's the double A. Oh, what was that? That was a 15-inch Thin Crash, I think. And then you got the top 4 of the octobons. So if you look at them in the back, they don't go as deep. It's the top 4. And then you got the two which are 6-inch drums that just get longer. Then you got the two Crotales, the 6 and the 8, and then you go to a 10-inch drum. Uh, Wait a minute, that's an 8. So an 8, a 10. Where's the other picture? I think that's 8, 10, 12, 14, and then you have a hanging 16. Is there a picture of that? A hanging 16 and a hanging 18. And then a double bass, two bass drums because I didn't want to do double pedal without both drums. Why is there a table there? I had a regular, 6x14 snare, and then I had a super tight piccolo snare. Um, so it was 15 pieces because you had the 4 octobons, 2 crotales, so there's 6, 7, 8, 9. God, that's an ugly face. What was the picture I just had where I was away from? There we go. So you had the 4 octobons, 2 crotales, so there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then the other piccolo snare was 15. So there's 15 drums, and then you had 16 cymbals. But what I was looking for, back to chatting you go, think, I was looking for a picture of the Tascam. I know I got one on the other page, but I'm not going to go all the way there. All right, so back to the main page. All right. So then in 2006, I put this out. Evil Trismegistus, Residual Electrical Impulses of Tragedy, 1997 to 2005. And it has the first 3 demos. If you click on this, it just takes you to this page. Because, like I said in the earlier stream, there's a box about 2 feet away from me that has 47 of these out of the run of 50 that I did. The only one I ever sold was to Sunny before we were dating, and I gave her money back and said, if you want to hear it, I'll just give it to you. I'm not going to make you pay for it. I'm madly in love with you. I don't want you paying for this. The issue I had with E-Trig when I first started off, it was called Evil, and it was more like an SOD thrash metal chugging kind of setup, and more hardcore, I guess, than it was black metal. And I went through a time with another guy who joined, and then we called it Evil Existence. And then that fell apart horrifically. And then I actually tried for years. So I graduated in 1989, 6 months early. I took a test and got out because I couldn't handle being in freaking school anymore. Um, I'm not a smart guy, so don't think it's because I was too smart. I just needed to get out of school. I was tired of being forced to be somewhere with people around me. So from 1989 when I was serious about E-Trig, and it was more heavy metal, more Venom, Merciful Fate sounding than it was black metal. Um, I looked for people to be in the band, and the problem that there was at the time I had just stopped being a theoretical Satanist, so a lot of the stuff people were uncomfortable with. But on top of that, some of the tracks, like this one, Palace Aaron Asinomus, you'll hear is a faster track, and then there were other ones that were insanely slow, and then there were other ones that were purely acoustic. There were other ones that were purely keyboard. There were ones that were sounded more doomy, like actually the first track of Infernal Land after the intro, the first actual song, Fall Through Erebus, starts off very slow. It's like dun 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 dun. So very slow. But then other songs are going to be like you're going to hear with Palace Aeronauts, which is a little bit faster. So I could find people that could either play the fast stuff and not do the slower stuff, or play the slower stuff and not do the faster stuff, or people that were insanely good at playing the slower stuff but couldn't handle the topics, um, and vice versa. People that loved the topics but then didn't want to have anything to do with the slow stuff. So I ended up just teaching myself how to do all of it, and so I'm self-taught in everything I do. Like I said in one of the other streams, I the only thing I was ever shown on guitar was the tuning, of which I then got a piece of graph paper and laid out the guitar neck and wrote on it. Um, Stop sending me stuff. I'm streaming. So, stop sending me stuff. I'm sure you guys are hearing that. That's Dawsworth. Now I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I couldn't find anybody to be in the band, so I taught myself how to do stuff. Um, so the first, when I first finally gave up, it was after Evil Existence fell apart, and the amount of trouble I had just finding people to be in that project. This one was going to be much bigger, much more amorphic, and I couldn't find anybody else who could play the stuff I wanted to play. And there was not that there wasn't a lot of musicians in the Visalia area, because there was a lot of really good musicians that I knew, but nobody wanted to do this. So that's when I started teaching myself how to record on that Tascam Porta Studio. I think it was Porta Studio 3 Mark II, Porta Studio 2 Mark III, something like that. I didn't find the picture. But it was two inputs to four track on cassette. And then I would record four tracks, and then I would record those to a regular cassette tape, and then play those four back onto the four track and onto another tape, and have those four tracks as one track, and then have three more tracks, which made everything sound like mud and made everything not able to be what's what I'm looking for. You couldn't edit it anymore. And I was at the time I didn't have my drum set. I didn't get my drum set until '99, 2000. Actually, it's 2000. Um, so I keep saying So I had to do it all by hand on that keyboard. You saw that big Yamaha keyboard. It was my brother's. It was a cheap, you know, department store keyboard. But so all the drums I did on the earlier demos were by hand, playing on the keys. Not that easy. This one. So like I said, I only released those three demos, and then that CD in 2006, of which I only did a 50 run, limit of 50, because I wanted to see. I didn't have any money to start with, and then if I wanted to see if they would come out all right, and they came out fine. And then I thought, well, if I sell them for $10 each, I will double the money I spent on them, and then I can make it sustaining, where I don't have to put money back into it, because it'll keep. If I sell these 50, then I'll have double the money. I'll do another 50, and then the money I have left over, then I can use to get buy artwork from people, to do get better equipment and whatnot. So and just make it sustaining, where I didn't have to dump money into it, because I think over the years I've come close to like 60 grand in stuff for my musical equipment. The drum set by itself was 10 grand. So it doesn't look like it in the pictures because in the pictures it's all dusty and I've been using it crazy like mad. But um, and then E-Trig, I have a lot of stuff for E-Trig. I had a lot of stuff recorded where I started stuff for E-Trig, and then always something would come up and I never would be able to finish it. And the album I was going to put out before, let me pop up the cover real quick. It's on the desktop. It's not a very big cover. It would I didn't spend a lot of money to get it. All right, so it was going to be called "Remnant of an Old World and Enemy of the New," and I know it's on here. Where is it? It's a picture. Where is my picture? Such riveting streaming going on. There it is. So this is what that album cover was going to be. So that's the old logo that I drew. You can't see my mouse. So on the top, it says Evil Trimegistus. That is the logo that Christoph Spiadl made for me. And then down below that, in really, really dark gray, that is the hand-drawn logo that I made for Evil Trimegistus. It just says Evil. And then below that is the name of the album, A Remnant of an Old World and Enemy of the New. That was the album that I was going to record, and I had two tracks that I was going to leave the way they were, which were horrible, that had been recorded like 15, 20 years ago. And then my hard drive crashed and I lost everything. So that was the album. That was what I was working on. But then, like I said, everything crashed. So it went away. So one of the cool things, though, I had this up for a reason, is that the if you watched the last stream, and I was talking about the album cover I got from Juha Vorma, I will show you the other three I got from him back in the day. So this one is probably going to be the cover for Infernal Land. I kind of don't like putting his covers to my digital releases because you can't see them very well because they're just small little digital releases. But this one, I think I don't know what he called it, but when I bought this one in the early '90s, he had two different ways you could buy his stuff. You could pay not as much. He would send you the artwork. You would do what you needed to do with it, and then you would send it back to him. Um, or you could pay more, and then he would send you the artwork, and it's yours forever. And so I paid more, and this is the first one I bought from him. And that was originally going to be called The Awakening, which is what I was going to call the first E-Trig album. And then it never happened. I ended up in the hospital. All the money went there, yada yada. That's why Festering Vomitus Mass Zine never went out. Um, and then it was going to be what was it going to Remnant of an Old World and Enemy of the New. Years ago when I first started that track, this was going to be the album cover of that one, and then it never happened. So I may do this one as Infernal Land because I think it'll fit. I think it'll be awesome. And then there's also another one. Send you back to chatting. That was the first one I bought from him. All right, this one. And if Duha, you're watching this, I have to apologize to you when you see it. Okay, this is the other one. I love this one. So this one is acrylic on film. It's not on like a regular canvas painting setup. It's on film. And I had it under glass in a frame under glass and on the wall when I first got it. And then I moved around a lot because, like I said earlier, I with my anxiety, I never feel like I belong where I am, and I never unpack everything. So I ended up going into a tub, And then that tub that it was in was had all my lyrics, all my pictures, and everything for my music. This one, the glass broke, and so everything you see here with this white stuff. Oh, you can't see my picture, my pointer. Um, so if you look at the picture and you see over the head, you see all those white spots, those white kind of squarish looking areas, and then off to the where they're looking over that way. That is not what Juha put on there. That is where the paint came up when I put took the broken piece of glass off of it. So this is not what it looked like when he painted it for me. So this makes me feel horrible that that happened. If it would have been one that I paid less and had to send back to him, it would have been an issue. But so that one though is going to be. Oh, this looks horrible. This is my my like 1990s Photoshop look. This is what that one was going to be used for. There's the logo by Christoph Spiadl on the top, and then on the bottom it says "hung like a corpse on a stake and bleeding." That's the what is that? What did I say? 18. It's 11, 10 or 11 songs for the Sleep of Ishtar, and then 5 or 6 songs that are just extra. It's this the story from the Necronomicon about the Sleep of Ishtar. And so the way I wrote it was "Hung Like a Corpse on a Stake" is the 8 to 10 or 11 tracks that tell that story. And then the end bleeding is 5 or 6 extra tracks that have to do with the Necronomicon, but have nothing to do with the story of the Sleep of Ishtar. So I was going to put it out as "Hung Like a Corpse on a Stake," dot, 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 as the regular album. And then put it out as an EP, dot, 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 and bleeding with the same cover, just with the and bleeding on it. And then put it out as a CD with the EP included, would be "Hung Like a Corpse on a Stake," dot, 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 and bleeding. So that was that one. And then the one that I actually was going to use for the Vitus with me and my cousin and my nephew was this one that's a digital. And when I got it, I didn't like the middle of it. So, boink. There it is. That's a digital rendition. I love the look of it, but there's like a raccoon head right in the middle of the eyes, right above it. I didn't really like that. And so I tried to cut and paste over it and make it look like that. So the original album cover I had for my old project, OLDE, the Black and Calculus Metal, um, that was the cover. And then Vitus, we were going to use that for Vitus, so that was going to be My Lifeless Eyes by Vitus because that actually fits really well. But that didn't happen, and so it's gone through a bunch of different iterations that I was gonna use it for and never used it for. So I'm looking to see because I just saw it. Okay, so here is the album cover. It's not an album cover. Well, that man, that's tiny. Is this one bigger? There we go. So the original demo tape I put out for E-Trig was called "Blacker Than a Burnt Pope" because originally it was called "Blacker Than a Burnt Priest," and then I thought, and my stupid young kid who rules the world mind I had back then, and like I said, trying to be tougher than everybody else because you didn't want people to know how weak he actually was. Um, I ended up going blacker than a burnt priest, blacker than a burnt cardinal, blacker than a burnt bishop, and I was like, well, let's go to the top, blacker than a burnt pope. I mean, blacker than a burnt god would even be better now I think about it, but blacker than a burnt pope, stupid name. The ad went out, nobody bought it. I can understand why. There was a guy who lived in my town named Brian Thompson, and I called him the Brian Thompson. He was a grindcore guitarist, and he was insanely good at playing guitar. And he was one of the coolest people I'd ever met, although he was very odd. So I asked him, I told him about what I was going to do for the album cover, and he made this for me. He drew that out for me and gave it to me, and I was like, whoa. You know what? I'll use it on the demo tape, and then I never used it on the demo tape because I never sold the demo tape. Never. I think I gave like 2 copies to somebody, and then I put out just regular cassette versions of it to different magazines around the world, zines around the world, and never heard anything back about it. Because, like I said before, I had horrible recording equipment. But he also gave me an alternate, which was this one. And it says Atomic Crunch on the top because he was in a grindcore band called Death Penalty. And then he did his own thing on the side called Atomic Crunch, which was not grindcore. It was closer to noisecore. It was insane. I mean, the he played drums on a keyboard too for it, but they were inhumanly fast. And he had he had a skit on one of them where he was there's an opera going on, and he's sitting in the opera, and then you hear him open up a bag of chips, and he's loudly eating a bag of chips, and everybody around him is complaining. And then he pops open a Coke and he starts drinking a Coke. So he had one that was about, it had an intro that was from a movie, and I don't know what movie it was, where you're saying I used you. What about you using me? Everybody uses everybody, don't they? And then the song goes on, and then at the end of it, it stops, and then he pitch shifted his voice up and to make it sound female, and he goes, "Oh, that's so terrible! You can't even understand the words." And then he came into his own with his own voice down in like a death metal vocals, and he goes, "Maybe it's better that you don't understand." And I was like, "This guy is nuts." So I asked him if he wanted to help me with my demo, and he just made me the covers. He came over one day and tried to play. Deals, what are you doing here? Oh crap, somebody who knows me. All right, we're going to stop talking about my music now. I haven't seen Deals since Steve disappeared. Wow. Okay, so I'm looking at all these pictures and everything. I'm not going to go through the rest of those. So let's go back to the Muzaks. Oh crap, and Dawes is here too. Yay. So now you guys get to hear my music. Now I feel less comfortable because it's people who know me. If anybody doesn't know, Dawsrith is my nephew. He lives next door. He's about 1,000 times more talented than I'll ever be. I do that with you all the time, Dawes. I'm always pretending you're not here. He's same here, Deals. It doesn't seem right without the French fry bunch. I miss Steve. I have not talked to him since he left, so I don't. I other than what he put up in Discord, I have no idea what he's doing now. Deals there is a good friend. My When I played in Stand There and Bleed, the guitarist vocalist Steve, he streams or he used to stream all the time as Streaming Steve Fantasy. He had one of the best communities in all of Twitch, the French Fry Bunch. And Deals. You were a moderator, weren't you? Deals was one of the big names that was always on there. So, and then Dawsworth, like I said, is my nephew, lives next door. He puts me to shame when it comes to music. We do Sligo together, which I showed you guys earlier. Um, so, what I'm doing here, Deals, is I'm going over my horribly ugly music, and I'm explaining where it came from and everything. So, oh, I don't doubt it, Deals. They just moved again. So, yep, I thought you were a mod. So, this is what I've been going over. This is my Bandcamp page. This is one of them. I have a Bandcamp page for the horrible music. I have a Bandcamp page for the happy music. So, this is the horrible music. Yeah, I know. That's every time I come home, I'm waiting to see it pop up. Steve Fantasy is streaming. I'm like, oh, come on, come on, come on. I haven't streamed in a long time either. I've not had the best life. So This is my Facebook, or my Facebook. This is my Bandcamp page, Jonathan Evil, bandcamp.com. The last two streams we started at Fog Warriors, Sun Conquered. We skipped the single because it was on this album. We did the Motionless Nothingness, Woods of Suicides, Painful Exit from Beautiful Life. Second stream we did Whilst Rooted in Obscurity, Of Strength and Sadness, and the EP Dark and Shadow. Today we just finished doing Ruined. I'm talking about Palin Aaron Asinomus, my E-Trig project, and we're just getting ready to listen to that. And I was going over a quick history of E-Trig. I don't think it was that quick now I think about it. But there was one more picture I wanted to show. There was a picture that a guy drew for me. His name was Mars, and it has my old logo on it. There it is. This is kind of the way I drew my old logo. I drew this logo like this for maybe. We're going to go chatting real quick. I drew this logo maybe for like 2 years when I was first starting. And I switched it out afterwards because I didn't think it looked good enough. And then it went to one that was more streamlined, and then it went to the one that you see on the album, the other album cover that looks like roots going into the ground. So this is the one Mars did, and he just drew that with a pencil, and then went back over it in pen. And I was like, dude, that will be my next demo tape. And then I never put a demo tape out. So I've been sitting on that forever. He didn't even sign it. Now I look at it. When I married Sunny, I saw Mars again. He was hanging out with one of her cousins. So, but that's the only artwork he ever did for me. All right, so now is the time where you're all going to want to plug things in your ears because we're going to hear Pallas Aaron Asinomus. So the lyrics to this are about Hermes Trismegistus, which is where the Trismegistus comes from for evil Trismegistus. Trismegistus means 3 times great. So when I first started E-Trig, was what I called evil Trismegistus. When I first started it back in the day, it was called evil. And because I was a dumb kid in high school and thought, oh, nobody's used this name yet. And then once the internet came out and you could see that there were 400,000 bands called Evil, I was planning on I have like 15 different projects of music I do that range from classical music all the way up to um, horrific black metal and this stuff. So the one project I was going to do that was going to be kind of like Ministry, I guess, Skinny Puppy, but a little more metal. Lots of keyboards back before there was a lot of keyboards in black metal. I was going to call Trismegistus, and then when I was trying to come up with something to call this other than Evil, which is why the cover of this album has just the Evil logo on it. I thought, wait a minute, what about Trismegistus? Because then it'll be Evil Trismegistus or Great 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 Evil. So that'll put me above everybody else. Again, scared kid trying to look tough so everybody will leave him alone. So this song is about Hermes Trismegistus. I wrote, like I said earlier, I wrote the music in one day. I just sat down one day and I was like, all right, whatever comes to me, I'm recording it. That'll be it. So I don't know if there's any bass guitar in this one either. I know it's drums and there's 2 guitars and drums and vocals. I didn't put the vocals on until November 12th, 2023. But the guitar and everything else was written, oh my God, um, maybe 10 years ago? Maybe not even that far, within 5 to 10 years ago. And then I'll give you a little bit of trivia that nobody will ever use. So when you hear the song, it's playing, it's a little quick. When you get to the end part, you're going to hear it stop, and then you'll hear the hi-hat go really quick. And then the song comes back in, and it's played faster. So when you hear it in the beginning, just know it's going to get faster at the end. And then when it ends, and I wish I still had everything, I wish my hard drive didn't crash, there was actually a part that was faster than the faster part. And the drums were almost inhuman, but the guitars were. And I took it out because it was going so fast, it just sounded like mud. So I actually. So it starts fast, and then at the end, it goes even faster. And then just know that when it ends, there was actually a part after that that went even faster than that. So I will shut up now, and I will be back in 5 minutes. So put your earplugs in, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, so there's that one. Um, so like I said, you could tell at the end it got a little faster, and the drums. If I would have sped the drums up to actual drum beat other than just a snare roll, it would have sounded like a typewriter. It wouldn't have sounded human. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do it as a snare roll. So that's it. And I think there was a bass in that because I think I could hear bass in behind the guitar line. So that one, the music was done for like 10 years before I ever put any lyrics to it. And I think, Dawes, I wrote this while I was living at your house, the music wise anyway. So this one, "Sing for the Dead," it's just 6 minutes long. So this is the entire lyrics that I wrote. I never put a date on it because I thought I was going to add more to it, and I never did. But this I wrote way back. I was like still in high school. I was like 17 or 18. And all it says is, "In preparation for death, all things made must be final. Your earthly ties must be inbound. The peaceful exit of a painful existence. When death overcomes you, you will be at peace." So the way I had this in my head was all of this would be harmonized down. So instead of it saying "in preparation for death," it would be slowed down and very deep. "In preparation for death, all things made must be final." And then it would echo, and then the music would start, and then that would just repeat, repeat, repeat. And then every now and then the new line would come in: "Your earthly ties must be unbound." And then while the other one's still going in the background. And it would do that with just mid-paced music, with just these lyrics just dropping all over the place in it and just being very disheveled, I guess is a good word to use. There's your evil trauma gets this bingo. Use the word dishevel. You'll never see that again. So, but when I actually recorded this, it doesn't sound anything like what I originally planned to. It's kind of the way I wanted it, but not really. I made it different, and the music for this I wrote like in the week of November 13th, 2023. I haven't listened to it since I released it, so we're both going to hear it almost for the first time. So I'll be back in 6 minutes.
In preparation for death, all things made must be final.
So if you couldn't tell, that was going for more of a droning sound, and me listening to it right now, I can tell I did it quick. I mean, I hear lots of errors in that. So what I'm going to do right now, um, no, not recorded with Tom Anderson. That was recorded last year here. I have not played the Tom Anderson in 10 years at least. That was recorded with the Jackson Dinky Reverse. Oh my God, Jeff Tate. So, what I'm going to do right now, and Dawes, I want you to pay attention because I want your opinion on this. We're going to switch, and I'm going to show you my recording software. So, off you go to chatting. All right. So, what we're going to do here. So, the new album I'm working on. It's called Inferno Land. I wrote it. It's going to be for E-Trig. I wrote it. I wrote the album in 1990. I was younger than that. I was like a preteen or early teens. And my parents, every year, where we lived in California, you could go either 2 or 3 hours to go to, no, 3 or 4 hours to go to the big trees in the mountains, or you could go 3 or 4 hours and go to the coast. So one year when we went to the coast, I found a book called Inferno Land. It was a modern retelling of Dante's Inferno. Somebody had rewritten it into a novel and updated it. So instead of the people rolling the boulders at each other and then walking down the hill and pushing them back up the hill and then rolling them down at each other again, it was the chasm bridge builders who they were building a bridge across the chasm. And once they got close to the other side, another group would tear down what they just built, and then they'd have to build it going back across, and they were just following each other in a never-ending circle. Um, that introduced me to Dante's Inferno because I had heard of Dante's Inferno, and by that time, I think that was right after I stopped having to go to church and right before I became a theoretical Satanist at the time. So I had heard of Dante's Inferno. I got it from the library. I got the big hardback version. Never took it back. I don't know where the book is. One of the first pictures I had that I wanted to use as a demo for E-Trig for a cover was a picture from that book of Lucifer on the frozen lake, um, up in ice to his waist and just hanging out. I wanted that. That one and the picture of the demons holding the people over the boiling water with hooks, with spears with hooks on them. Um, but I wrote the entire 23 track album lyrically and set it up one day in 1990. I think it was January 10th or something. So all 23 tracks, most of which there's a lot of instrumentals. And then after my hard drive crashed and I lost everything I was doing for Remnant of an Old World and Enemy of the New album, I was at work and all of a sudden I got this thing in my head of somebody screaming, "Ah me, oh Satan, Satan," just in agony. And I was like, wait a minute, that's Dante's Inferno. I should do Inferno Land because I've been sitting on it for all these years and never done anything with it. So I posted that I was going to do Inferno Land, and Sonny actually, for the first time in years, replied to anything I did on Facebook with, "You're finally going to do this. I was wondering when you were going to do it." So that made me feel like I really need to do this. So I sat down and I looked over the structure, and I had two acoustic guitar lines I had written that I knew would fit for Nothingness and Buried Giants. And then I knew that the track Fall Through Erebus was completely written already. So I went back and looked at it and then actually doubled the length of the song because I added more to it. Because like I said earlier in the stream, the original pattern is the beginning of the song where it's very slow and doomy. It's instead of being like what you just heard, it's more dun 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 dun. So it's flowing like that. So what I'm going to show you now is the intro. And whoever's watching this now, all two of you, are going to be the only people who have ever heard this other than myself. And as things go, you may be the only other two people that ever hear it, because even if I release it, nobody's going to hear it. So this is an orchestral kind of intro. It's 6 minutes and 20 seconds long. I added to it today because of good old Dosrith. I ended up buying a um, VSTI pack from Native Instruments that had a lot of violin and horn and choir sounds that are really good. The majority of this, when you see it, you'll see that there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tracks on this. Horn, not corn. And out of those 13 tracks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 of them are the keyboard that comes with Studio One. It's called Presence. And then the bottom, then there's the one for speaking, which the speaking part's not in it yet. And then there's, I added the new keyboard that I got. I added one part for men's choir, one part for women's choir, one part for horns. And the horns are only in one section. I don't even know why I put them in there. So what you're going to see right now is my recording software. And what you'll see is the entire track all squished into one page. Oops. Boink. Ta-da! So everything that's brown is violin. So at the top you go, can you see my mouse? No, you cannot. Let me click on here and see if it'll show up. There it is. Okay, so up here you got violin 1, that is 40% to the left. Let me look. Yeah. So you got violin 1, which is 40% to the left. You got violin 2, which is right down the middle. You got violin 3, which is 40% to the right. You've got a contrabass, and you got a viola. I think the contrabass is 20% to one side, viola is 20% to the other side. And then you got cellos, but there's no legato cellos whatsoever. So you're not going to hear a full pull on the legatos. They're plucking pretty much. I mean, on the cellos, they're plucking. And then you have two different staccato violins. What? How far did I push them over? Staccato violins are 50% to the left, 50% to the right. That's what these two are down here. These red ones, these are a percussion hit. And then the speaking part, as you'll see, is empty. I haven't recorded my speaking part yet. Then this is the women's and the men's choirs down here in gray, and then the small horn part in yellow. So where the speaking part comes is when we get down here to this end. After this percussion hits and before this very quiet choir part hits, after the percussion does its noise, then I say, and thus it came to pass, in the autumn of my lifetime, I found myself astray. And then the choir part happens. And then when the choir part stops, then I say, lost in the woods. And then it stops and then it goes to the next track. So that's the only part missing. This is the first time anybody's ever going to hear it. You're probably going to fall asleep. And this is done in, it's all MIDI. Oh, I hate how it just automatically goes to one. All right, so I'm going to shut up. You guys are going to listen to this, fall asleep. I'll wake you up when you come back. I think it's 6 minutes. It's 194. So let me see. It is 6 minutes and 26 seconds long. All right, I'm shutting up now. Alrighty then. Yeah, I saw that, Michael. I was trying to click on it to see if it got the pointer on there, which if you're on a web page, it won't show the pointer unless you click on the page once you got it in focus for some reason. Oh my god. So, that is the first time anybody other than myself has heard that. I spent a lot of that. Sweet. Yeah, I was watching the playback, Michael. I saw it was doing that. Um, I don't know why. I just I was just glad I could get it to play without the god awful echo that I had. No, the reason I did that, Michael, I split the violins out is because when I'm doing like any of the Fog Warrior albums that I put out will have two guitar lines, and one guitar was always 40% to the left, one guitar is always 40% to the right. It fills out the sound more instead of having everything sitting in the middle. So when I was writing stuff, for anybody who doesn't know, I have 15 different projects. I do one called The Bard of Far Ice that is classical music. And I've done like three big pieces that, well, not big. I've done three pieces and then two or three small nonettes. And a nonette is a classical music piece written for nine instruments. And I do it as one bass or two basses, two cellos, two violas, three violins. And when I did that, I put if you ever go on YouTube under Tolnorz, Tolnorz, you'll find the nonettes on there, two of them. And I have them split out. The graphic is a picture of how they're split out audio wise, to where both of the bass violins are, I think, either 100% or 80%, one to the right, one to the left. And then the cellos aren't as far out, and then the violas aren't as far out, and then the violins are just like they are here, where one's to the left, one's to the right, one's down the middle. So when you hear them play, if you have headphones on, it's bouncing all over your head. It's coming from all different directions. And I when I originally was recording and messing around with my recording software and I had multiple guitar lines, I was like, you can't hear this one over the other one. You can't tell they're doing different things. They sound like they're doing the same thing. So then I thought, wait a minute, what if I move this one over a little bit and I move this one over a little bit? And I think I did like 10% or something. And then it made it sound bigger. It filled the sound more. And I was like, wait a minute. So I moved him over to 20%, and then it sounded even bigger. And I was like, okay. And I moved him to 40, and I stopped there. And then I could make out what each guitar was doing as it was playing. And so to me, it's as I'm recording it, to me, it makes it to where I can tell what each guitar is doing, even though I'm the one to put it on there. It makes it clearer for me to do it that way. And so when I was recording this, I knew I was starting with staccato violins, and they are exactly half a step apart. One is playing an E, one is playing an F. So you get the very disharmonic. So the bottom one is playing. I think so. I think. Wait, that's to play in Toronto? I didn't realize the Blue Jays still played there. Don't they, I think it's got the retractable roof, doesn't it? Um, so this on these four here. Can you see my mouse? Yeah. So on these four here, the bottom one, I think these are playing the E. Yeah. So this is playing two E's, and then it plays an octave up two E's, and then it plays two E's, and then it plays two B's. That's B as in boy. So E as in everyone, and then B as in boy. This one is playing two F's, two F's, two F's, two B's. So they're half a step apart, half a step apart, half a step apart in unison. So that's why you get this sound. And then when you come down here and you got everybody going, you have a setup where everybody's in the beginning, everybody's playing on E's and B's, I believe. um, that does make me wonder. Maybe it's broken. You never know, Michael. Um, so these are playing E's and B's together, and then as they get farther over, then they start going into F's, and then you start getting at. So for this first part, everything is there's not very much dissonance. It's so they're playing E's and B's, and then when you get over to this part, they start off on E's and B's, and then the higher violins start going to F's, and then you start getting that really horrible fingernails on the chalkboard half step off. And then I drowned everything in a long tunnel reverb, so it sounds like it's 250 miles away from you. And then this is the part that I did today. I actually wrote this about 20 minutes before I started recording. So, and I had the software up. I don't think can you guys see the software? Oh, yeah, it took over the screen. So I had it up and I was just doing this. You can't see the pointer, but I'm on the blue keys where three's at. I was just hitting right at three and I went, and I thought, whoa, that is an awesome sounding. Whoops, where'd you go? I closed that. Why are you still looking at it? There is the wow, Jimmy Christmas. That's big on my other screen. I think I broke it. I think I broke it. There we go. I was just tapping on the keys to hear what it sounded like, and it played a pattern, and I was like, "Oh, that fits perfect," and that's where this came from. Wait, let me mute the contrabass. And then I thought, um, you know what? Maybe I should fatten that out a little bit. So I then put men's in singing this part. And then I wanted to try out the horns because I hadn't used any of the horns, and I used the just the ensemble, and all they're doing is this. Now, the other piece I worked on today is a piece called "Nothingness," which originally was just going to be one acoustic guitar line. That it starts on a E minor or an E major, and it goes up to a C minor sixth, C minor seventh. I can't remember. I have to look, but it's very slow, and it just goes back and forth between those two. And I thought, you know what? It's just gonna be the guitar by itself. I'm not gonna mess with anything. Just gonna leave it like it is. And then I started messing around with the new recording VSTs I got. And I ended up writing a big old long piece for it. Whoops. And so you guys are going to get to hear. So this is all I have written for it so far. So you guys are going to get to hear for the first time this one before it's even got anything on it other than. So this is what these horns sound like. These are called swells. Wait a minute. That didn't play anything. Okay, let's see why we're not making any noise. Maybe it doesn't want you guys to hear it. There we go. Okay, and we're back. And we have the secret count. We have the secret code. All right, so this is what the horns sound like on this one. Okay, that's not horns. Okay, this is what the horns sound like on this one. This was vocals. This is the choir I was trying to make something out of. I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not. So that's what I was working on this morning. Like I said, the guitar just goes back and forth between two chords. So this is what I had for the. This is the I think ensemble. Oh, I'm going to screw it up again by opening that. Yeah, that is the. That's the legato cordial. Yep. Okay, so this is the violins on this one. This is what it sounds like right now. Okay, something's not working. So that's not playing properly. So I think it's about to crash. So, but you can tell the difference, Michael, if you heard what that sounds like compared to the way I had it split and everything going across the whole channel. So that playing just everything in one track makes it all sit in the middle. And I I that was kind of brainstorming to come up with what I wanted it to do, which worked out pretty well for how I wanted it to sound. But like I said, I can't spread it out and make it sound as full as the last one. That's what I'm saying. So like with this setup here with using the ensemble, everything is down the middle. It's in one spot. If I move it over to the left, everything's going to move to the left. So the way I did it on the other one, I had a violin to the left, a violin to the right, a violin to the middle. I had the contrabass to one side. I had the viola to one side. I had the cello, I think, down the middle. I had the female choir to one side, the male choir to the other side. I think humanizing. So humanizing will take. So let me show you this. So if you, whoops, get off of that. If you were to go in and edit one of these, you see this here. While you're looking at this, this is what's called a piano roll. Here's your keyboard. And here's middle C. That's middle C. And what you're seeing here is this is saying that, let's go to the first part. Let's go to the beginning. Back to the beginning. So this one here, it's only got 2 notes. And what this is saying is that when the music starts, it's going to go this way, like the old time piano rolls on player pianos. So this is saying that this is going to play this B for the entire length of that, which is one measure. So because this is in 4/4 timing, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4. I was talking earlier about how one of the tracks I had on Fog Warrior went 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and to make you feel uncomfortable because that was the whole point of that track. Um, that's like a 7/8 timing would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, instead of an 8/8 timing, which is 4/4, which would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you get a lot of jazz in 7/8 or 9/8. So 9/8 would make you skip 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 you have that extra and at the end of it. So on the piano roll, this is in 4/4 timing. So this says this is a whole note. It's going to play all four for the entire 4 counts on this B. Now down here you can barely see it. You see this little tower. These little towers are these notes, and it'll highlight. See, that's highlight. Let me put it over here so you can see it. So that's highlighting that I'm on this note. This is right now. It's on the velocity. It's how hard you push on the key on the keyboard. In other words, it's the volume. So if you come down, oh, I'm not on that track. If you go to the last track and you go to where the choir is down at the end, where it's quieter, the velocity is not not near the top because this is nothing. This is full. It's more down like this. So on something like this that doesn't have a velocity, it doesn't use velocity, it's not making a change. But you can change that to sound. Um, pitch bend, awesome. Modulation. You what what's the word? Humanizing. Humanizing. I was going to say humanitizing. Humanizing does is it takes anything that's a drum beat. Let me see. Let me see if this will even load now. Close that. No, don't change it. Let's get up Fall Through Erebus. So I'm going to show you on the drums. So the drums on this I wrote, like I said, years ago. All right. So this is Fall Through Erebus at the moment. And what you're seeing on screen, I don't even know if it'll play. This is, so I wrote it all in the GP5 program. So this is, where's the drums? So this is the percussion. And I went in and changed this percussion out with Addictive Drums 2, which is what I use. And it's more human. It makes it sound more human. So if you listen to just the drums, whoops, have I got on? There we go. We'll solo the drums. We'll just play the drums. And you got to remember, everything I do, I'm self-taught. So let's switch this over to Addictive Set. Oh, no, that's right. Okay, so all these little things you see here are the drum set. It's different parts of the drum set. And when you look at the bottom of it, you will see velocity. Well, let me get back to where there is a velocity. It's not even showing velocity. Interesting. But what humanizing will do is it will take, and when you have something like double bass, which I think I have down here. Yeah. and it'll take it from sounding like that, where everything is perfect. It'll make it where um, they don't line up exactly perfect on lines. It'll throw them off by a little bit, like you're human and you're not a perfect machine. So your one drum beat will be perfect, the next one might be off by a little bit, the next one might be off by a little bit, and it'll yeah, and it'll also drop the volume on some of them, so, or some of the velocity. So instead of hitting the drum really hard, let me see if I can um, show. So if I hit the drum, so I'm here, I'm hitting full. The humanize may make it where one of them, instead of sounding like this, sounds like this. So it would be more. So you can hear the volume going upper and lower and upper and lower. Plus, instead of going perfect, 1, 2, 3, 4, it might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll make it where when you first hit humanize, it makes it incredibly off, and then you hit humanize less, and it comes back closer to where it was. Humanize less, it comes back closer to where it was. I don't use it because I just don't spend that much time on it. So, like when you hear this, when it's actually playing, yeah, let's go back to double bass. So that's what it's going to sound like in the background. But then when you have all the guitars over it and everything, it's so everything I did with Fog Warrior was using the same drum setup. Let's get rid of that. So, and what I do when I write the stuff in GP5, so like this is the guitar lines because it's got the runs in it. And then this is the bass. Yeah, that's on the old version I had on version 1, Michael. You could just click on the track. You could click on here, and on here you had, what was it in here? This is version 6. So you had musical functions, humanize, and it'll humanize the entire thing. So, and like I said before, don't if you're watching this, don't do what I do thinking I'm teaching you how to do it. I am self-taught. I do stuff wrong. I listen to stuff I've recorded and it sounds horrible. So don't do what I do. Learn from somebody who knows. I was originally so I got into Studio One Pro when it first came out. I went to the music store, Guitar Center in Visalia, California, and I was going to buy a new recording software because I bought recording software in 2005. I bought an Omega interface with it came with Pro Tracks, and it was the first time I had uh, a way to record the guitar onto my computer because before that I had downloaded an accidental backup copy of Cakewalk 4. Yeah. And so I was writing stuff in Cakewalk 4 in regular musical notation and playing it through MIDI. So I wasn't able to record what I was playing on guitar or vocals or drums or anything. So when I got the Omega interface, which I think I was going to give to Steve, the I was able to record stuff for the first time, and that is where this album came from. Because this album was the residual electrical impulse of tragedy, 1997 to 2005. The first, Jiminy Christmas, how many tracks? Let's see if I can make it look at this. Oh, it's not going to open it because that's the wrong thing. Whoops. Give me the JPEG. Where is the JPEG? Don't try to open it. Don't kick open Photoshop. Come on. Stop it. There we go. Go away. Go away. Don't want to see you. There's the JPEG. Okay. So this we're going to go to now is the back. Nope, that's not it. That's it. Is that it? I have my. It was only 4 panels. There we go. Well, it doesn't show the tracks. So this is what it looks like when you have to do a layout on a CD. That's the cover on the right and the back of the cover on the left. Uh, and you can see that the I don't even have the logo on this one, but you can see on here um, tracks 1 and 2 were recorded in 2005 because they were new using Pro Tracks Plus 2.2. That recording software was so great that you had, if you wanted to burn what you were recording to an MP3, you had to spend an extra $40 to buy the MP3 encoder to unlock in your recording software. So I had done that, which was a lot of money back then. Um, and so I wrote one track, Dead Within, and then I already had one track that I had the lyrics to, but I did not have vocals to or music to yet, called Pactum Expressum. And I wrote that track in GP5, and I kept everything like there's more parts in it where the guitars are half a step apart and being disharmonious, and then the bass is half a step off of that, and the drums are so slow and just weird beats and you can't follow it. And my cousin, when he heard it the first time, he goes, "I cannot follow that song whatsoever." I go, "That's perfect. That's exactly how I wanted it to go." But those two tracks were recorded for this CD. I lost my voice after recording Pactum Expressum. 3 and 9 were the demos. So 3 through 6 was the Blacker Than a Burnt Pope demo in '97. 7 and 8 was the rehearsal demo of '98, and 9 was the rehearsal demo of '99. It was called Awakening. It had a track called Where Angels Die, but the only copy I had of that recorded, my best friend Jason, or who I call Janos, lost it. So I have no copy of that. I have cassette tapes still that work in my 4 track, but I haven't been able to find this song yet. So that recording is long gone. And then 10 and 11, that makes me wonder what the hell was 10? Oh, don't do it. You rat bastard. I have my picture on small icons, so I can't tell what's in Photoshop and what's a JPEG. I can only tell by how long it takes to load. Don't make me grab one. Oh God, can't go away. Go. Oh my God. Okay, so anyway, if I wanted to stand up and grab a box, I could grab one out of the box, but I'd have to move 198 Fog Warrior CDs to get to it. So anyway, one of them was recorded. It was the first time I ever messed with a guitar effects pedal that I bought, and it had a reverb that was called an infinite reverb. And so I just put it on infinite reverb and just made all kinds of stupid noises. And then I was going to make that a hidden track on that demo and call it Insanity Through Nightmare. And I forgot it. And then I found it on a cassette tape after those were all released, and I just threw it on here. And then I don't know what this other one is. Track 11. What was? Oh, March of Glass Bolus. It was all done on a keyboard. It was all cheesy keyboard music. So that was that one. But when I got to so that actually helped. That worked. It worked, and then I had that interface because I also was doing stuff on just using VSTIs, which are keyboards that are just synthesizers. Whoops, there we go. Which are synthesizers, but it's not physical. It's just in the computer. And I was taking and I was writing little what I call Weird Al Yankovic techno songs that I called Blood Rum, where I would get a new VST, which is a new effects, and to try out and see how it sounds or what I could use it for, I would find an audio track and then I would make a song around it. So the first one I ever did, I was testing the recording software to figure stuff out. I had a sound clip of a wave file of Bugs Bunny going, "Catch up, catch up. Where's the catch up at?" And I thought, when I heard it, I was like, wait a minute, catch up, catch up. Where's the catch up at? And I was like, that's got a rhythm to it. And so I made a song out of it. And it's horrible because it was the first one I did. It's way out of time. I didn't make any of the music for it. I did it like a jigsaw puzzle. I had found free wave sounds all over the place and I put them together like a jigsaw puzzle and made a song out of it. But it was not good. Everything had different beats per minute. There was different sounds that didn't fit well together. But I played it for my mom. At the time, she said, "That's really cute. I like that. Why don't you make some more?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So the last time I checked, I had 94 of those songs written. Some of them are on YouTube, some of them aren't because all the wave files I used without permission. So if somebody, like I had one that was, it was called a call to power, a call to, oh, I forget what it's called now, a call to make or something like that. It was um, Churchill in World War II calling for the nation to go to war against Germany. And I just put a drum beat behind it and choir behind it and made a little song out of it. And then I got a copyright strike on YouTube from the BBC for it. So I didn't take it down. I just made it privatized. And so the people who, like my cousin Kristen, who kind of like those tracks, I give them the way to find it. Give them the web address so they can get on and they can hear the ones that have been red flagged by YouTube. And then I had another one that had was it Boris Karloff? It had a bunch of his quotes from the movies where he was saying, "Listen to them, children of the night. What music they make!" And I got a message on YouTube from a punk band, I think in Boston, saying, "Hey, would you take your song down so we can put our song up because we're using that sound, we're using that audio clip in ours also, and we keep getting a copyright strike from you saying you already have it, even though I never said it was a copyright strike. I never said I never knew they existed." And so I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so I made it, I privated the video, and so they could put their video out because I'm all for getting music out. I'm not in competition with people. So well, that ends the Fog Warriors. So there's all the Fog Warriors. We've gone through them over, what did that be? 11 hours now. You just And like I said, when I write stuff like with this one with Pallas Aaron Asinomus, the words for Sing for the Dead, it's just it wasn't something I sat down and tried to come up with. It was just the way I say it. It's just my brain puked it out and I wrote it down. So what it means, I have no clue. It's just I was sitting there and all of a sudden in my head it went, "In preparation for death, all things made must be final." And I was like, "What the heck?" And I grab a piece of paper and I write it down. And then your earthly ties must be unbound. The peaceful exit of painful existence. When death comes, when death overcomes you, you will be at peace. It all just popped up in my head and I wrote it down as I did. A lot of the lyrics for E-Trig, like the track I Welcome Death, which before my hard drive crashed was sitting at 30 minutes and 31 seconds long. The long version, the short version was 19 minutes. When I was with Sonny the first time, we got a 386 computer. I sat down in front of it and I had this picture in my head of my grandmother who lived out on a farm of when I would walk down their dirt road after it rained, which was very rare in California at those days, and the seeing the puddles in the ground and the sky is gray and all that stuff. And so I had that picture in my head. And I sat down in front of the computer and I just started writing whatever came to my head. And it turned out to be I Welcome Death. And the title, when my parents were moving from the town of Ivanhoe to the town of Visalia, I had a little Ford Courier pickup truck, a little yellow thing. And I was helping them move because we would load stuff up in my truck and I would drive it over and drop it off. The neighbor at the time had an insanely pretty daughter. I was like, yes, I will help you move. Where they were moving to, not where they were moving from. And as I was driving, I got right next to this place that Dosrith knows called Oak Patch Golf Course. And right as I got to the turn in to where Oak Patch is at, I in my head all of a sudden I heard this phrase "I welcome death," and I was like, "What?" And I pulled over and I grabbed the nearest thing I could to write on. I don't remember what it was, and I wrote "I welcome death" on it, and then I put it on the seat so I wouldn't forget it. And then I had that in my song list titles for a long time. And then when I was with Sonny and I was helping mom and dad move, or when I was with Sonny, not when I was helping them move when I came up with the title. When I was home with Sonny and we had the 386, and it was the first time I used a word processor program, I thought, I have this picture, I'm just gonna write about it. And it came out to be I Welcome Death. And so there's a lot of tracks where I did not sit down with an idea. I sat down and just whatever came to my head, I put out. And that's back when I had confidence. So, like I said before, if you look at this, will show you the difference. Sun Conquered. Is it Sun Conquered? No, it's Whilst Rooted in Obscurity, covered by Juha Vorma. It's the background on my computer right now too. Not this background. This is a different album, or yeah, different cover. Someone I was talking about where the glass broke and I pulled the paint off. On this one, if you look at like this, Glass Out Bolus into Hell, you see all those lyrics. You look at um, Blood of God, you see all those lyrics. You look at Lord Destroyer Beneath Outstretched Wings, you see all those lyrics. And then you look at Magnet, you see all those lyrics, 1990s. That's back when I had confidence. You see all these lyrics? That took me 2 days. 2 days with no confidence that I have now. Thinking that doesn't work. That doesn't work. So if you weren't here for the stream, Dying in the Sacred Grove of Nerthus, which his working title was called Bleeding Jones, um, I love mystery religions, mystery cults from olden days. And the cult of Nerthus, they had a sacred grove of trees that were the sacred grove of Nerthus. And I thought, well, they're obviously not here anymore. Somebody conquered them. So what would it have been like if you were being conquered? And in my head, I was picturing like Vikings rolling over the land. Um, and you ran to the sacred grove, and these guys just came right into the sacred grove and took you all out while you're standing in there. And so the whole concept was coming from somebody who's asking Nerthus, why am I dying? Because I'm in your sacred grove. You should be protecting us. And the whole concept, it was gonna have lyrics as long as all these down here, and then I lost all my confidence, and then it took me 2 frickin' days, December 23rd, 2018, and January 14th, 2019, to just write, and yet here I die. Why am I sinking into an ocean of blood? You were supposed to keep us safe. You were supposed to keep us alive, and yet here I die. This land is sacred, and yet here I die. That shows you how bad it's gotten. So that's the issues I'm dealing with. So, like I said, this one is the first one since 2006. So that was 23. So a little bit of time in between releases there. Fog Warriors, I started in 20, was it 17, 18, 2018, 2018. The lyrics were written long before that, but I started recording them in 2018. And then so we've done 5 full albums. One, two, three, three EPs and one single. But the single is 25 minutes long, and it's also on Motionless Nothingness. So that's where I'm going to end it today. And then I won't be going over any more music on the next streams. The next ones I'll be doing, I'll be gaming, obviously. But when I go, I am going to start doing the podcast. I think the I Am Broken podcast, but I don't know when, and I'm probably not going to tell people because I don't want anybody to hear it. The whole main purpose of the podcast is I am 53 years old right now. That's me right there. Ding, 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 ding. I am 53 years old. That was me from 2006 when I was playing with Steve's band, Stand There and Bleed. Um, I lost my father last year to a stroke. I lost my mother 14 years ago to lung cancer because she smoked like a chimney ever since she was 16. And I've been through like 50 ex girlfriends. I have Sunny, who's going to unfortunately be my ex wife. Like I said, don't feel sorry for me. It's my fault. Um, but as far as I know, I have no biological children. None have come forward. So the whole purpose of doing the podcast is, like I said, I have the anxiety thing, and then I have the I don't want to be forgotten thing. So I'm going to do the podcast to just get all of my life story and memories and views and music and everything else out. So when I pass away, it'll be there. So I won't just be forgotten. Somebody somewhere on this planet may find, oh, hey, what's this podcast by this weird dude who played horrible music? And then next thing you know, somebody will know who I was, and everything that happened in my life won't just be forgotten. Because that's one of the big fears is growing old alone and being forgotten. So I'm calling it I Am Broken because the autobiography I was starting to write was called I Am Broken, parentheses. I know this and I'm fine with it. Stop trying to fix me, parentheses. Um, that's what the name of the podcast is going to be. It's not going to be for. I don't want pity. I don't want people to go, oh, poor Jonathan. I am not suffering. Everything is great. I am happy where I am. So if you're going to get on and go, why don't you just stop doing that? Fuck off. Just go away. I'm tired of hearing that. It's a chemical imbalance in my brain. So, and I'm not suffering. This is normal to me. So I just want to get out there because there's stuff that's happened in my life. I'm not that interesting, but there's stuff that's happened in my life that I think nobody will know about if I don't say it. I mean, 90% of the people that know me didn't know that I was a theoretical Satanist when I was in high school. Um, and then a lot of people don't know that I was a Mormon before that because I was born into a Mormon family. So it wasn't my choice. um, so I just want to get it out there. So that'll be happening. I don't know how well that's going to go because, like I stated earlier, when I start doing it, once we get company for the summer and they bring their dog with them, I won't be able to stream as much because that dog will set off the other dog that's already in the house, which will set off the bigger dog that's in another room in the house, and all of my streams will be nothing but dogs barking the whole time. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'll try to stream in there and get some of it done. The podcast is going to be horrible to listen to because it's going to be no setup. It's going to be like I'm doing this. It's going to be whatever comes to my mind. So, but it'll be structured around something. So the first one will be about who I am, where I come from, who my family is, why I'm doing the podcast, what's wrong with my cranium, and memories of when I was really little. And then I'll do one that's covering music. I'll do one that covers when I worked at Walmart. I'll do one that covers when I worked at Target. I'll do one that covers when I was in Invictus. One that covers when I was in Dead Boys Choir. One that covers when I was in Existence. One that covers when I was in Evil Existence. And I'll just talk. I'm not going to write anything down. I'm not going to keep notes. I may say the same story over and over and over again. I may tell stories about my stepson Kerry when he was little that'll make him want to kill me, but I don't care. He was the cutest little 4 year old Indian boy you ever seen in your life with his little not Indian Native American boy. His I'll give you this trivia too. His name and their Native American language of Chumney. His name when he was born was Pachuch Aucha, which means little fox. And then Sunny's was Biot Mi Tongatim, which is Pretty North Star, which I would say is not true because she outshines the North Star much more. So, can you tell I still love the woman? So, the podcast will be happening. I don't have a standard release date for it. It's not going to be at a standard time. It's just going to be whenever I get to it. And then it'll just show up and it'll be on Twitch for however many days it'll stay on Twitch. And then as soon as I finish, I export them to my YouTube channel, Tolnorz, TOLNORZZ. It's a tiny channel. I think I have less than 10 followers. It's got no monetization. And it's just where I keep the stuff. And this stinking dog is barking. So I'm going to end this now. You'll probably see me on again later in the week with Dosrith playing Valheimer or something. So thanks for staying. I hope I didn't blow your eardrums, and I will see everybody next time. Later.